My name is Gerald Jones. I'm a visual artist. I started painting when I was around 9 or 10. That's when I first realized I could paint. I was at the kitchen table, and I painted a picture of three boats, or three ships you can call them. And my grandmother, she happened to visit the house at the time, and she's like the matriarch of the family, and she saw these drawings I did, and she was like flabbergasted, you know. And she was the type of woman is that if you pleased her, you made your day. And she liked them very much, and I realized then that I had something that somebody liked. I went to boys' high, the old boys' high, and I had a teacher that took us on a trip to the Catskills. And when we came back, he was my art teacher. And when he came back, he asked me to illustrate in a drawing the trip we took. And he gave me some photographs. And I went home and I illustrated the trip we took. And he was like, whoa. He was amazed at it, you know. He entered my name into a competition for the Student Art League. And he told me one day when I came to class, he says, get some work and submit it to the Student Art League, because I submitted you as a student to see if you can get a scholarship for the summer. So I did, and lo and behold, I won a summer scholarship. And it kind of like blew my mind too, you know, at the time. And the next year, he submitted my name again, and I won again for the second time. And I was flabbergasted again, you know. And then I could realize, you know, I realized that I had something, you know, that I had a talent, you know. And the next year, the same thing happened. I won another scholarship to Pratt Institute for the summer course.
3 years in a row?
3 years in a row, yeah, 3 years in a row. And lo and behold, my last year, I did the same thing, I won again. And that's basically, I think that's basically where I got my technical training from, you know, because art is, like you said, art is very important, because I was exposed to live models and different theories, different concepts. I was like taught anatomy, you know, and how to identify different things. I was taught the color charts, and it was a well-rounded education in art at that particular time. These particular paintings is, I would say, is somewhat of my life philosophy, because I'm a heavy believer in spirituality. And I try to, in my own way, is to demonstrate the evolution of the spirit, of the spirit world, or the spirit realm. The spirit takes on different forms, you know, and through the evolution, they evolve in different forms, and they evolve in different colors and different shapes. And as they go along, they take on somewhat of a, in my thinking, in my philosophy, as animal type shapes. So I would say, like in their adolescence, they would take on animal shapes. And where I got the idea from was, I was kind of stuck one time when I first started painting, and I was struggling with my identity as an artist, And I was talking to a group of artists on 125th Street, and I think it was Park Avenue, I'll never forget it. And I was talking to these artists, and I was telling them my struggle, you know, my difficulties, because I was painting things, but I wasn't painting from within. I was painting from sight only. And one artist, he had told me this story about from where he come from. He said, in his tribe, he says, when they recognize that an individual has talent, they like have a ceremony, and the person that has the talent adopts the spiritual guide. And he asked me a very strange question. He says, "What type of animals do you like?" I said, "Well, I like gazelles and zebras, you know, I like swift animals with horns." And he told me, he says, "Well, what you do," he says, "when you start painting," he says, "call upon your spiritual guide, your spiritual entity, and invoke them to guide you through your spiritual travels, through your work." And he says, use that animal form and implement it into your work. That's why you see in some of my pictures, you see they have animal forms. They're not animals, but they're not zebras or anything like that, or gazelles, but they take on that animal form to identify themselves as they're animals, or they're spiritual forms rather. I try to use brilliant colors to generate the energy of the spiritual, the spiritual forms. And I found out too that after I realized what this artist was telling me to do, is that I somewhat gained an identity as an artist, my own identity, because I was really struggling. I was just painting things and whatnot, but it wasn't me. And ever since I started painting these forms, I get an energy of my identity. I get a strength to illustrate my art better. And he said, be true to yourself. I had to think I would paint to please other people. I would say, well, I don't want to paint that or paint this because people wouldn't like it. But he also told me, and the other artist told me, he says, no matter what you paint, be true to yourself. He says, it doesn't matter who likes it, as long as you like it. And he says, sometimes, he says, an artist, when he does his best work, and he can realize when he does his best work, when a person looks at his picture and has a reaction. It could be a good reaction or a bad reaction, but it's a reaction. And he says, by having that reaction, the artist knows that he did his work.